Welcome to the Good News Theater. My name is Paris, and we have a guest here today. His name is Michael. He is a physical therapist assistant. He's also a motivational speaker for social and injustice issues. He is also an entrepreneur of a clothing line that's going to come out very soon, and I'd like to welcome him. Welcome, Michael. Good to have you in the Good News Theater today.
Great to be here.
Yes. So, Michael, you've got a lot going on.
Yeah, you can say that.
You've got a few things going on. And one of the things I wanted to question you or ask you about is you are a motivational speaker for social and injustice issues. What exactly is your specialized area in that?
Well, I've been speaking on matters of racism for years.
Okay.
But as time passes and we all grow, I label myself now as a social injustice activist.
Okay.
And, you don't have to be on any type of social media more than 30 seconds to see all these things that are going on that are brought to light a lot more readily now than they were before because it's so easy. And I've been speaking for probably over 15 years because these issues need to be brought to light, need to have communication, need to have voices, and not just from victims, from people that don't like what's going on and need to make a difference themselves.
Okay.
You don't have to wait to be a victim to be a part of something that has been going on for decades, centuries, that is just wrong.
Okay. So let's talk about that for one moment. You said racial. So what angle are you approaching this from as a motivational speaker for racial issues?
I guess my angle that you asked me where my passion came from, and I don't have a great answer for you with that. I grew up in Lily White Summers, Connecticut.
Okay.
I've spent a lot of time in the Springfield area over the past 20, 30 years. My first job was at the Eastfield Mall when I was 16. And actually that would be a time that changed things for me because leaving Summers, Connecticut, and then coming every weekend to work at the Eastfield Mall for $4.18 an hour to empty trash and sweep floors and mow grass, all of a sudden it changed my experiences. Now I have non-white coworkers, non-white friends. I'm listening to different music. I'm listening to different type of jokes. I'm eating different types of food. Made life a lot more interesting to me. And then when I went back to Lily White Summers, back to school, things became real boring. I could see a different perspective. I could see how people had expert opinions of others that they had no experience with, which is one of my biggest definitions of ignorance. When you claim to be an expert on something you have no experience with.
Exactly.
So that's kind of where it started, but I just always, I guess, whenever I was enlightened, whenever I had seen what's going on, being raised and born a Caucasian male, the most privileged creature on earth still, I was never proud of the white race in general when it came to these issues. I just never understood why somebody as amazing as Martin Luther King, who he wasn't pro-black, he was pro-life, he was pro-human. One of my favorite quotes was from him that says, I'm not going to get it exactly right, but we must learn to live together as brothers or we'll perish together as fools. Because that's, to me, I don't want to be associated with any type of stereotype of being racist. I mean, to me, it's absurd. I used to think racism was the biggest problem we faced as human beings. And people would argue and say, well, what about crime? What about corruption? What about drugs? What about disease? What about poverty? What about war? And my answer, for a lot of years was, well, those are all people problems. And if we can't get past the color of this, how are we going to solve these things? But through time, my answers changed. I don't think it's racism is our biggest problem. I think it's the brainwashing that we all face. I just read a book recently that said the smartest day of your life was the day you were born. Every day after that, something else has corrupted your mind and changed and adjusted or taught or brainwash your perspective of things. So I think the brainwashing is the biggest barrier and problem we faced as humans. And I think society in general, mankind in general, our U.S. population, if you want to keep it just in our country, we need to solve this. We're not going to wait for government. We're not going to wait for law enforcement. We're not going to wait for politicians. We're not going to wait for anybody to fix ourselves except us. You and I, as just two human beings existing on Earth, need to care enough about each other's lives so we both make it. Because, struggle is real. Struggle is universal. Struggle, everybody has it. And it doesn't, I can't sit across from you as a man and whatever privileges I have that I didn't do anything to get, when we're both Americans living in the land of the free.
Sure.
Right?
Right.
If you have struggles I don't have, then I'm incomplete too. Because you need to get there as I need to get there, and we need to help each other get there. And we need to pick up as many people on our way through this journey of life. And we got to set different examples so our kids and their kids don't come up believing the same brainwashing. I think you need, I call it the 3 C's. You need compassion, common sense, and courage to exist. If you don't have any of those, then you're just a sheep and fall into your place.
Okay. Like, what is it that now you spoke about injustices. You spoke about, us being just a race of people, not a race of color. And you're a man, I'm a man, and we should have same options or whatever, but we don't have them. Mm-hmm. I mean, the fact is that in this world, the brainwashing is that we are different. I don't think you're different from who I am, as far as men is concerned. But what do you think? Do you think doing these motivational speeches and presentations is going to make a difference?
Yeah. This is something I've been doing for a while. The best part of my experience is the emails I get, the questions I get after my presentation's over. Because when I speak at high schools, colleges, I've spoken at teen detention centers, boys clubs, churches, colleges. And my presentation, what makes it a little different is I make it immediately interactive. In the audience, if I, the second you agree, disagree, want to make a comment, want to tell a story, want to share anything, I stop everything I'm doing because I don't have a script. But I think the important thing is for people to express themselves, not be worried about what the words are being judged. They need to be heard. And as far as me relating to the black community, I try to keep everything simple in my life. I'm not going to look at you in the face and tell you, based on your life experiences, that I know what it's been like.
Sure.
That's like me going up to a woman with breast cancer and saying, I understand what you're going through, this is what you should do.
Right.
How would I ever be an expert on that?
Right.
All I can do is say, brother, you have struggles, I have struggles. I care enough about you as a human being, okay, that whatever, I can't understand everything you've been through, but I'm here for whatever you need. Genuine. Okay. And, one of my quotes is that we can't always walk in each other's shoes, but we can choose to walk in the same direction.
Okay.
And
that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's powerful to me. I'm very proud of that because it keeps everything simple. Mm-hmm. And, I've had backlash from doing what I do. I've had my life threatened by white supremacist groups. So I've seen things that have happened. I was long time into this when a few years ago a friend of mine was murdered by skinheads out in Las Vegas. They killed him and his white friend. So these evils are still out there, and I try to bring to light a lot of just different things, different false beliefs. You want to talk about, a white person, a racist white person's line of defense as well. Look at all, black people are dangerous. You need to be afraid of them. Mm-hmm. Look at, they're all in jail, they're all this. But in reality, if you want to look at the majority of the mass murderers in this country, they don't look like you.
They're not black. Exactly.
No, they look
exactly.
like me. These
Right.
kids that are shooting up their schools, they don't look like you. They look like me.
Right.
And then you want to talk about the modern form of slavery with the incarceration and the fact that our country has more prisoners than the rest of the world combined. You want to tell me we're the land of the free?
Right. Right.
We're the land of hypocrisy.
Seriously. But what I wanted to ask was, so the emails that you have received as far as making the change with your motivational speaking, what are some of the emails that you're receiving as far as change is concerned?
Well, one thing that generates a lot of the emails is when I express to the audience, if you see something that's wrong, you see racism, you see any type of ism, any type of hate crime, any
Sure.
type of like that, to interfere with it. Stand up for the victim. Don't sit back and watch, because you are worse than the person doing it, as far as I'm concerned. If you're going to be a spectator and watch somebody else get verbally assaulted, physically assaulted, beat down, then you are worse than the person that's the perpetrator.
So you grant them empowerment. Is that what you're, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, what are you here for?
Sure.
You know, what is your purpose? Do you have a purpose? So based on that type of message, I get a lot of emails that go beyond even the racial stuff. You know, I get something simple like, my Uncle Charlie comes over every Thanksgiving and he's always telling black jokes at the table. What should I do? And I said, if your uncle respects you and the family and the fact it's Thanksgiving, look him in the eye and say, look, I find some of the jokes you say offensive. I have black friends. I have Latino friends. I have Asian friends. And I find, you know, some of those jokes you're making, they're offensive. I would appreciate it if you didn't say them. Now, if you don't say anything, you're giving him free will to continue behaving the way he is, because he has no limitations. But if he respects you enough as a family member, he might check himself. He may not, but you at least send that positive energy out to him to say, look, there's a better way to go about it. There's a different way to think. I've got emails. One of a heartwarming one was, I got an email that says, and this is somebody I've known from a 90-minute presentation.
Okay.
That's it.
Right.
But whatever they got out of that, they found the courage to email me and say, hey, I live with my grandmother. She's basically been raising me, and I'm gay. I feel like if I tell her that I'm gay, that she's going to disown me and I'll have nowhere to live. So I don't claim to be an expert on everything, nor do I even really want the credit for all of this. To me, I think positive energy is positive energy, and it's a responsibility we have. But my answer to her was, do you feel in your heart, based on your grandmother raising you, that she loves you? The answer is yes. I said, well, go with that. Go with the fact that you know your grandmother loves you, and be upfront and honest with her. And I would tend to believe that your outcome will be okay. A couple of days later, you know, I open an email and it says, oh my God, Michael, thank you so much. I told my grandmother, she accepted me, we cried, we hugged. She told me that she loved me and she accepted me for who I am.
Okay.
And that, I don't know.
Well, you are changing lives. You are touching people. Like I said, you gotta have the good with the bad. Everyone's not going to love you. Everyone's not going to, hate you or dislike you. So at least there is some positive feedback.
Oh no,
but
what my whole feeling to that story is, what else could I do more important than that? You know, if I gave
offer options, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Exactly.
I'm satisfied with, I was as good a human being as I could be for another human being, and she got something out of that. So that to me is every reason why I would continue to do this. Every reason why I think it's so important. And you know, you and I could walk into a room with these same issues, and we're going to address it, let's say, together.
Right.
There's going to be people in the audience that are going to hear your words because they can relate differently and not hear mine. There are going to be people that are going to hear mine and not hear yours. They could disassociate
Naturally.
themselves with either one of us because they don't look like us or came from where we came. So to me, it doesn't matter how the message gets out there as long as it's heard. I guess one of the best compliments I've gotten through the years is anytime somebody non-white comes up to me and says, I've never heard anybody talk about racism the way you do. Never heard another white person talk about racism the way you do. And what I take from that is that person is now different to say, wow, there may be others like him thinking the same way. So now I can't be so close-minded to say that all one type of person is always this way or always that way. And or if I had to give my humble opinion of one of the biggest frustrations I think of the black community is the fact that they don't trust that white people understand.
Sure, of course.
And I would say that in order to understand, you need to care. And there isn't a whole lot of coming out of the white community expressing we care. Pick whatever topic you want. Something like Kaepernick kneeling, the Black Lives Matter movement. Everything is labeled a color. I don't want to go through my life as any type of label. No human being should. We should not be labeled anything. The fact that people are so diverse and look so different, everybody's beautiful. Everybody's beautiful. You need to believe that first, but everybody's beautiful. Mm-hmm. We didn't create ourselves. We were created something much bigger than us.
Sure.
So everybody's beautiful. There's beautiful in everything. When I look at you, I need to see myself. Otherwise, I'm blind. I get emotional sometimes.
It's okay. Wow. It's all right, brother. It's all right. That's your emotional, effect from what you're speaking of, is what a lot of people who are discriminated against go through every day.
Right.
And so for you to feel that and show the viewers and audience that you really care, this right here is going to reach out and touch someone. I'm going to be getting emails and everything about how to get in touch with you. So I appreciate those feelings. Thank you. I appreciate those feelings, because I tell you, it hasn't been an easy road for the black experience. It just has not been an easy road. We're still doing things. I'm using this as a way to showcase some things to let everyone know that we can do greater things. We don't have to be stuck in one box, and people are attorneys and doctors and lawyers today, and everyone's going to college, and all these opportunities that are afforded to us that wasn't when I was a child, when you and I were kids.
Right.
That's available now. So things are on a trend. They haven't changed yet. There are still some issues, and because again, like I said, it is a learned behavior. People are still coming out learning how to hate.
Right.
And I think you've broken through that. I mean, you even have an African-American fiance who's very polished, and it was very nice to meet her. But to switch gears a little bit, when you go to these schools, you get the emails from the kids. Now, do you have a target audience that you usually do speak to? You say college, high schools. Do you have an adult community that you may book a seminar for?
That's actually things, the adult community, for the majority of what I've done, have been teachers, faculty members, part of the schools. And they have recruited me word of mouth, send me from one place to another. But I feel that there needs to be more of community conversations in regards to this too. Because, your dinner experience at your dinner table was different than mine.
Sure.
My father didn't have to raise me on how to survive being pulled over by the police. Okay?
DWB.
Yeah.
Yeah.
DWP, driving while privileged. I didn't have...
Right.
So it's not conversations that were had. So I think the more conversations that are out there, the more people that have the opportunity to care about others, to hear others, and listen. You asked me earlier how I feel like I can relate to the black community.
Yes.
I can never switch places, but all I can do is listen and pay attention. It's not like I need some secret combination to unlock something here. It's been blatantly obvious for decades and decades and decades and decades that it's right there. But if you don't participate, you don't listen, you don't care, then I don't really feel that you're qualified to call yourself a human. You're probably a good reason why people don't live forever.
This is very true. Very true. So in your seminars, is it you said you create interactivity in it. You ask questions and you wait for answers. And what are some of the things that you do for icebreakers in the beginning? Because if you go to a seminar where you have angry African American teenagers, you have to get their attention immediately. So, what are some of the things that you do to grab their attention?
Well, it's funny. I've sat in rooms with me, a microphone, and 300 high school kids. And when I'm trying to book these things, you should see the principals and some of the faculty getting real nervous. And we can't put 300. Are you just going to have a microphone? How are we going? They worry about behaving.
Yeah, exactly.
And I've never had one kid asked to leave any of my presentations. There has been no. I mean, you start talking, things get emotional, things get passionate, but I haven't had to deal with any angry students because I'll start my talk and I'll give them some experience of things that I've done and what I've done in my life and how I grew up. And I tell them, the second you have a question, a comment, raise your hand. You want to tell a story, something going on within the school, within your home, have the courage to share it. If I go 20 minutes in and nobody's raised their hand, then I'll start picking on 300 people. And I'll say, hey, I'm standing here with a microphone and I'm in a room with 300 chickens. And nobody's brave enough to raise a wing.
Okay.
So finally, I'll figure out a way to get to them. And once that first hand grows up, then, wow, this person said that. Then I
domino
said
effect.
Yeah, and then people feel
yep.
comfortable. And then when somebody tells a heartfelt story about themselves, so now you're hearing a kid 10 feet to your right telling something that you never knew about them, a struggle that they have. And now you can say, wow, I can't look at you as just the kid who dresses funny anymore, or the kid that I picked on for whatever reason anymore. Mm-hmm. I heard something that's personal about you going on at your house, going on in your family, something challenge that you have that I don't have. Mm-hmm. Now I find myself caring for you. I find myself, maybe I'm looking out after you. Maybe in the hallway tomorrow I'm going to say hi to you. Any just way to break down a barrier, break down a wall. And I think teenagers, I have 3 daughters. 2 are teenagers, one's still 11. Okay. So I'm still safe there, but I hear the struggles that they have every day in school, and it's different than when we grew up.
Sure.
You can hurt and harass somebody on so many different levels. You can hit send and let 300 people know your beliefs about one other person. So times are changed, strategies have to change, but the caring, the compassion, the common sense, the courage doesn't have to change.
I have another question about the kids, the young adults. Today we have a lot of blended race children, who are not 100% white and 100%
Right.
black, but we do have a lot of, black and white parents who are getting together and finding love and creating children. Have you ever had an encounter with your presentations where they ask you, how do I identify? Do I identify with my mom who's white or my dad who's black or my mom who's black and my dad who's white? Have you ever had to deal with those kind of issues?
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
Issues like that, even also, within the black community, how a lighter skinned black gets treated better than a darker skinned black. And my advice is figure out a way to go about living your life without any labels.
Okay.
Don't take on the burden of what somebody else thinks of you. You need to love yourself. You need to love everything about yourself. You're unique. You're perfect. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And if somebody else thinks differently, they're wrong. Pray for them. My advice to all of these kids, and I like speaking to high school kids because they're not completely molded yet. They're still open to experiences, and they're not so set in their ways. And I just try to say to them all the time, don't carry around a label. Just cut anything that somebody is telling you are. You are only you. Mm-hmm. And that's it. Figure out who you are, and it shouldn't matter to you about what anybody else thinks, or anybody else is trying to take from you.
Okay, that's pretty powerful. That's good. That's That's very important that you taking that road when you're delivering your message. You know, like I said, you want to keep it fluffy. You don't want to. I mean, there are darker issues out there, but that's not what your purpose is. Your purpose is to empower, enlighten, and for you to love yourself. And that's your message. That's what I'm getting from what you do in your seminars.
Yeah, and you know what? I've been molded. I've adjusted myself. I've expanded my horizons. I've changed some of my point of views throughout time with all this stuff, because you always have to evolve.
But you have a clothing line called Unbind Your Mind. What is Unbind Your Mind?
Unbind Your Mind is like my universal slogan to encapture a bunch of issues, a bunch of opportunities. Unbind Your Mind, the slogan means the undoing the brainwashing that we talked about earlier. And hence why I feel the clothing line is very powerful. If you are in a busy mall or a football game or anywhere there's a lot of people, what can you tell by looking at any of them based on what the clothing that they're wearing is? What can you tell about that person? And maybe if they have a Yankee shirt on, they're a Yankee fan. The clothing line to me is a tool, because the message of the clothing line. If you're not down with the message, I don't want you to buy. I'll be the first one to say, do not buy my clothes if you're not living the meaning. Okay? I don't want my clothing line to ever be at Walmart that's just out there for everybody. There's a social responsibility to be an Unbind Your Mind member. It's something that could unite people from across the room, spark up a conversation. I've had many stories about how people ended up meeting and talking based on one of my garments. Whether they knew me or how did they get it, where did you hear about it? People of different races hugging in the mall that they just met because of the message of the clothes. And so now, every time you purchase something, you're wearing something that's sending a positive message. You're now getting another following. You're gonna maybe meet and talk to people and have something, the most important thing you can have in common with anybody, all in a fight that we're taking care of ourselves. We're not waiting for other people to donate, or we're not waiting for a law to pass. We're doing it ourselves the best way we can, just existing. And I know that if there was a situation that I was passionate about, and I could purchase something, and I know a percentage of that sale is going toward that, and I had a part of that, or maybe even voting in what that choice is, then we can start. It's just my idea to help people heal themselves.
Well, it's a great idea. So do you have a web address and
Yes,
email address and a phone number?
Yes, I do have all those.
Okay.
The website is unbindyourmind.com. It gives you a pretty good history of my background, gives you ways to book lectures, gives you ways to comment. Also, Michael Ficarra at unbindyourmind.com is the email address. And you can post my phone number and all this stuff on...
Do you have a phone number you want to offer the viewers?
Yeah, the number is 413-222-6258. That's the best way to get a hold of me.
Okay.
And, I'm willing to listen to everything, any ideas that I haven't thought of, any groups, organizations, religious group, whatever it is, especially dealing with the kids.
Well, I want to thank you for coming to the Good News Theater. We spoke about some very important things. Michael Ficarra, thank you very, very much.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
And I want to thank all you viewers for watching the Good News Theater once again. So, Michael Ficarra's website is right here below me. And please contact him with any questions, and watch out for him coming to one of the schools. There are going to be some summer events that he's going to be speaking at. He's also a physical therapist assistant, and he's an entrepreneur. So he's doing a lot of things.
With racism and back pain, right? I can.
Exactly, racism and back pain. So I want to thank you again, and we'll see you next time. Thank you. Hello, my name is Paris Dobbins, and I am your host on the Good News Theater. Please join me every Sunday evening at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as I bring to you people of our community who offers pro bono services. you need to know about. I am proud to showcase these professionals on the Good News Theater. And don't forget, check out our YouTube channel where you can receive more interviews, more updates, and how you can become a guest on our show and or refer someone to become a guest. And one more thing, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Okay, thank you, and we'll see you there.